These are all the books I read in May. Little tangent. I kind of think that I'm getting a reading slump, which is weird because I feel like I was in a reading slump last month. But last month I read 10 books. Now it's the 14th and I just finished my second book. That's not good. I've been busy, but I was busy last month, so I don't know. First we got Yellow Face by R.F. Kuang. I love this author so much. She's so good at writing. The Poppy War is fantastic. Oh my god. Even Babel, I think from what I gathered, people didn't really like Babel, but I loved Babel. And then I heard this was like the least favorite of her fans, the Yellow Face was. And I agree. I can see why, because it's very different. It's not her fantasy historical fiction. It's very meta and realistic fiction. It's about this author who isn't very successful, but her friend is very successful, and her friend ends up dying in front of the main character, and she steals a manuscript for her friend's next book, which is about historical fiction. It's about the Chinese laborers' help in, what's the word I'm looking for? Contribution to World War I. She does steal the manuscript, but she's like, I practically rewrote it. A lot of it's my words. However, I think she's just trying to gaslight herself, because she says that through the whole book. And she ends up writing a new story based off of like some like short stories that her friend wrote. And so everyone is accusing her of stealing the book. And she's like, guys, I didn't steal the book, I promise. And I'm pretty sure in the end she does admit she stole the book, but I low-key can't remember. I need to remember what I read more. So for the book club, we read The Silent Patient. And all of Alex Michaelidis' books are connected. So I was trying to remember The Maidens, which I did not like, and how it was connected. I was trying to remember The Fury. I was like, did I even read The Fury? Apparently I read it in December, so I should remember it, but I don't. And I gave it 4 stars. Last month I read 10 books. That's amazing. But I don't want to throw books into my brain and then move on. Like, I want to remember the story. I guess it's good that I don't remember the end because I can't spoil it. But the main character is white, so it's called Yellow Face because everyone is arguing that she's racist and how she writes the book is racist. Oh, hi bird. Her friend was Chinese. She's like, if my friend wrote it, it's not racist, guys. Anyways, I gave this book, I think I gave it 3 out of 5. It was pretty good. It's just not my kind of thing I want to read. Like, I don't really care about how meta it was, I guess. Like, the writing world, I get it's very rough out there. I don't care to read it. I like R.F. Kuang's fantasy historical fiction. But I do love that she's taking a different direction, not sticking to one thing, even though she's amazing at the one thing. That's kind of what V.E. Schwab does, but I think all her books are pretty much similar, I guess. They're all fantasy. The next one I read was Just Mercy by Bryan Stevenson, and it was pretty good. It's pretty much a memoir about Bryan Stevenson's experience in helping people on the death row. He created this non-profit that specifically helps innocent people get off death row in whatever way they can. I knew the judicial system of America was racist, but it's just crazy seeing it in a whole new light. The main story focuses on this man named Walter, who was framed for a murder that was very obvious he didn't do, and like getting him onto death row, making him seem guilty was so easy, and making him seem innocent was so hard. even though the evidence was very clear he was innocent. And after one trial, they were like, he's not getting off death row. And everyone was like, what? What the hell? And Stevenson was like, guys, this is just how it is. I figured this would happen. We're just going to keep fighting for it, right? But it's crazy how plain the racism is. He was talking about how a bunch of children were on death row, and then finally the country like made a law that children can't be on death row, and still they were fighting for people who served, like, I think it was 50 years or 30 years in prison already. They were fighting for them to get off death row because it was a crime they committed when they were a teenager, and it was still hard, which is crazy. I gave this a 4 out of 5 because it was good, but I'm not in my memoir phase right now, so it was hard to stick to, but it was so good. And I think it's very important to get that, like, insight into the law world. Because, like, it is racist. BML is a movement we need. And Black Lives Matter, not fucking Blue Lives Matter. Like, yeah, cops are doing good work. But there is clear racism. And, like, from things as simple as, like, someone does a silly little crime. I feel like I can't really talk about this confidently. But my point is, there is racism, and the people who deny it are stupid. And BML is a movement that we need. And, like, we've come a long way, but I feel like we still need to fight, you know? Anyways, I don't feel very educated enough to talk about this, but I do think it's important to talk about. The third book I read was The Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. I wanted to read this after I read Wicked, which I finished in January, but it was on hold forever, like several months, and it did take me several months, but it was really cute, honestly. I really liked reading it. I'm sure you all know what The Wizard of Oz is about. It's about this girl, Dorothy, from Kansas, who gets swept up from a tornado. Her whole house does. And she lands in Oz, which kills the Wicked Witch of the East. And everyone's like, oh my god, thanks, she was evil. She's like, how do I get home? And they say, go to speak to the Wizard of Oz. Follow the yellow brick road. And she does that. She meets her little friends that I'm sure you all know from Halloween costumes. The Tin Man, the Lion, the Scarecrow, and they all are like, I want a heart or courage and a mind. And they ask the wizard for it, and spoilers if you don't know the story, the fairy tale, but he's a fake. He's a fake-o. He can't give them the mind or the heart or the courage or Dorothy to go home, but he's like, you should kill the Wicked Witch of the West. And they do, and he's like, I'm not very good at my job. It was pretty good. I'm surprised how much I liked it because I knew it was a fairy tale. But I generally do like fairy tales, especially retellings, even though this is original. Been wanting to read some more retellings that I read when I was a kid, so I might get into that now. But it was really good, and I liked it. I liked how the world building didn't really answer any questions, but I didn't have a lot of questions because a lot of it was answered in Wicked, but people didn't hear about this until after they read Wicked because Wicked is based off of this book. But, like, why do animals talk? You know, and they, like, expect Totoro, whatever the dog's name is, they expect him to talk, but he doesn't. And then when he doesn't, they're just like, okay. And then it never answers questions of where Kansas is compared to Oz, which is cool, even though the Wizard of Oz is from Omaha. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I had fun the whole time I was reading it. It was only a 4-hour audiobook, and so I finished it in one shift at work, but I absolutely loved it. This month has been pretty good ratings. And I think that's because if I'm not interested in a book right away, I gave up on it. Perfect. So apparently my audio cut out in my other video. So I'm practically a real YouTuber. But hello, my dears. Okay. I was talking about Shady Hollow, and I was trying to figure out how to say the author's name. Juneau Black. Shady Hollow by Juneau Black. This was such a cute book. I can't believe I have to talk about it all over again. I had really good thoughts about it, and now I have to figure out what those thoughts are again, because it's been a while since I read. Also, I lost my voice at Pride, and I thought it was better, but apparently it's not. It was this really cute book about a mystery, murder mystery, yeah. And it was silly because it had a disclaimer, and the author was like, I know these animals don't live peacefully together, like a bunny and a fox and a not a groundhog. Yeah, a groundhog, that's what it's called. And a bear, because a bear would eat them all. But she's like, it's fiction, so just go with it. And I think it's funny that she had to put that disclaimer, because people should just get that. And it also reminded me of Fantastic Mr. Fox. I love Fantastic Mr. Fox. That was such a great movie. Except that wasn't a murder mystery, but it literally had the same vibes. It was awesome. Yeah, it was just this really cute murder mystery with fucking boss bitch Fox as the main character. I'm pretty sure she's just a journalist, but she figures out the murder, and it's so cool how she does it. And then there's a slow burn romance that I was annoyed about when I picked up the hint, but towards the end I'm like, yeah, okay, this is cute, because I thought they were gonna be, well, like in every other mystery novel, they'd be fucking by the end of it, but this was a more chillax mystery novel, very cozy, read under a tree kind of vibes. I could tell it's slow burn. I think there's 3 or 4 other books in the series, and so I think it's gonna slow burn throughout those, which I really like. I love how the author Juneau used everyone's like animal instincts to her advantage. There's like this bird who's always scoping out the air, super cute. The bird also has a library built for her to use her wings. Like, it's still accessible for everyone, but she uses her wings to get around faster, and it's super cute. And there's a big ass moose who sells coffee, and I want his coffee, guys. I want his coffee. It's so cute. I love this book. I gave it a 4 out of 5. It was definitely what I needed at the moment. It was so interesting. I'm ready to read the next series. I was on my toes the whole time, and it gave like character descriptions in the beginning, which I wish I listened to a little more. But I think if it was on paper, I would have definitely like flipped back and forth to go see it again, but it was still good as it was. The next book I read was also a book that I really needed, which was Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I love that book. Oh my god. I read it in high school a couple years ago, and it was so good. And I was like, I need another really good fantasy right now. And V.E. Schwab just came out with a new book, which I have there somewhere. Right there. I'm so excited to read it. I got it for Book of the Month. I'm so excited. I need a V.E. Schwab book right now, so I read Vicious. So good. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Originally, I gave it a 5 out of 5, but my scale for this year is 5 out of 5s. Do they speak to my soul? And it didn't speak to my soul, but it was really good. So, pretty much, it has the same vibes as her new book, which her new book, let me just grab it. This better work. I think I was talking about Vicious and how it's similar. Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, which is a sapphic vampire novel. And I feel like Vicious is gay. Magical gays. But they're not. In her post, she said it's a romance. I still like to think they're gay. Well, also, all her books, almost all of them, I think all of them actually, are light fantasy, where it's like there's the real world and then there's fantasy aspects, right? So in Vicious, there's the real world, but then people who have near-death experiences become EOs, which are extraordinaries, and they get this power. These two college boys, one of them wants to do his thesis on EOs, and he's like, I need my own EO power, and he gets it, and then the other one's like, I want one, so he gets it, and they're like the perfect evil couple. I love them. They're so cute. Victor is toxic in a sexy way. I love him, even though he's toxic. And they get their magical powers and fight. And V.E. Schwab is really good at back and forth chapters. She does it so good in all the books I've read of hers that do it. It's like when they get their powers and then 10 years later, or it says 10 years ago and then it's like 2 days before. Okay, it all leads up to something. And she does it in such a good order that makes sense. And it's like, I understand why you're putting this here. Why you didn't give it to me earlier, why it's not chronological order. I love it. And you get to meet such cool characters. There's this little girl named Sydney, and she has a cool relationship with Victor, where I want to say it's like an older brother kind of and younger sister kind of relationship. It's really cute. V.E. Schwab writes really good relationships in my mind, but it was really good. Definitely something that I needed. I'm excited to watch or read Vengeful, the second book. Also, the ending was actually cinematic. Like, I could imagine watching this as a movie and seeing the ending and be like, oh my god, that was perfect. Perfect way to end a movie. Perfect way to end a book. I loved it so much. I have been realizing lately that when books are written in different formats for what they are made for, it can be a little iffy. Like Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which is the next book that I finished, it originally was written as a play, which makes so much more sense. It's still a good book, but I can tell it's supposed to be a play just because you stay in the same setting the whole time, which makes sense with the storyline. You kind of need to. And then, like, all the characters are the same, which also makes sense. But it mostly makes sense that it was originally a play and not a book. And I would love to see the play. And a lot of people talk about Red Queen and how it's written like a movie, and it kind of annoys them. I love Red Queen, and I love movie vibe books because I'm such a visual thinker that I want to visualize it as a movie. But I do see how that's kind of iffy for some readers because books and movies are different media, so it is going to change how the story is told, which is the same argument for The Last of Us. Little side tangent. I love The Last of Us. I think the video game is amazing and the movie is amazing, but they're definitely two separate medias and kind of two separate stories. They definitely changed the characters up a lot, but I still love them both on their own individually. And I think a lot of the complaints people have are because a movie and a video game they call for different narratives. They're different mediums. Anyways, the last book I read this month was Before the Coffee Gets Cold. which was our book club, our second book club book. So I hate that the sun is in the way. Talk about it more in the book club video, but it's by Toshirazu Kawaguchi, and it was pretty good. I gave it a 3 out of 5. I annotated it, but I don't think I really needed to. A lot of my annotations were about how I hate men. But anyways, I made this drawing, which I will put a better picture on because the sun is just in the way. It was a good book. I drink a lot of coffee while reading this. It's about a coffee shop that can take you back to the past. And all these characters want to go in the past. But then spoiler, the last chapter is just like, by the way, you can go in the future. Because for the sake of this character, she wants to go in the future. Which, again, makes sense if it was a play. But for a book, it's like, it sounds like you just thought of that and you didn't want to go back and edit all the other parts and be like, you can go in the future. But whatever. I tried to think about, it says, if you could go back, who would you want to meet? I tried to think about what I would do, and after reading the last part, there's 4 parts, and it's 4 characters, time travel, and I kind of think I would like to see my mom when she was my age or a teenager. I think it'd be very cool. I can gain more patience for her and understanding. I think that'd be really cool. See what fucked her up. I'm gonna save that for the book club video, my talk on it, even though the book club video we're just making bookmarks the whole time. Now, my book of the month for May, I chose The Names by, Florence Knapp, and it is really good. I was reading a lot for a while. I need to get back into it. I love it. I love the flowers on the front because my name's Iris and I have a friend named Poppy. And then I want to say the top one is a lily, but I actually have no idea, which is cool. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is such a good book. It's making me sad in good ways. I can't wait to finish it. I should just finish it. Little side tangent, because I don't think the other video, I think my mic died when I was saying this, but I quit my job, so I can't listen to 5 hours of an audiobook every day. So I am reading slower, kind of rough. I have a lot more time to be reading, but I'm not. Instead, I'm doing other odd jobs and playing video games and dwelling on my life decisions. So I'm a little busy, but I have been working on the 3rd book for the book club, which is a secret. Ooh, that's all I have. 6 books for this month. Yay! Keep reading, and I'll see you in the next video.